Hello, everyone. Happy holidays. I'm going to make a short video here about the Naginata, okay? And I'm going to be talking about a product you can buy at home, Harbor Freight, okay? Which on sale, I got mine. I have a membership there. I get a lot of crap there. But for under 20, you can get this implement. And what's nice about it is that it's a very serviceable model for a Naginata, okay? One of the interesting things about when you start to put a halberd onto a stick, you come into different considerations that are hard to understand until you actually go through that process. And we'll be talking about some of those things involving orientation primarily. You know, if you have a blade, you want it to be oriented depending on how you're attacking. Anyway, before we get to that point, let me show you this real quick. I don't know what this is called, okay? But if you go in the back of the store of a Harbor Freight and you look, you should be able to find it, okay? And it's basically about almost 6 foot, about 5.5 shaft with this blade on it, okay? Now, obviously, a Naginata blade has some different characteristics. However, in principle, a lot of the things apply here. It's weighted pretty well, okay? And having that blade on the end will give you a sense of orientation, okay? And having to deal with that as you work with the weapon, all right? There are two principal issues of orientation you'll find when you start to deal with a halberd weapon as opposed to simply a rokushoku, okay? A rokushoku, a hanbo, all these stick weapons, they all tend to have the characteristic that they are, their symmetry is bilateral. Both ends are the same. Therefore, you can use the stick in any direction. You can use this in any direction also with some caveats. You don't have your blade on one end of it, but it gives you some considerations when you're moving the weapon through as you use it that are different, okay? Your blade is on one side of this and you want to control that function. You have to be wary of certain things when it comes to moving the weapon, both spinning it and when you're actually making some sort of a cut, okay? Where's this? What direction is it, okay? If I'm cutting you here, you see the problem here? See this direction, okay? How do you work with that? So there are a couple of things you can do. One thing is you get a sense of it after working with the weapon, but you can put little marks on this weapon as well. And you can also hold it in different positions to ensure that you're understanding your blade orientation, okay? But you can put notches and things like that. There's nothing wrong with that. Before doing that, it's a good idea to just make it hard on yourself, okay? And try to get a sense of controlling the weapon and the orientation of the blade, okay? So let's look at some of the things that we can do with this as a serviceable Naginata, okay? All right, so let's say I am making these movements like such, okay? I'm cutting, okay? And I'm here using this, so I'm coming up, okay? One thing to be aware of is if I do this a certain way, like this, I don't get the same effect. So there has to be some sort of an understanding if I want the blade side to come forwards, how I'm making that adjustment when I'm moving the weapon as a spinning motion, okay? It changes. It's not baseball, motorcycle, golf anymore, as they used to do in the Bujinkan with a hanbo and rokushoku, okay? What you're basically doing now is you're coming up this way and you're having to come under this way so that you have this blade being the front of your attack and watching for coming up in this horizontal axis properly, okay? Again, doing this is different from doing this, okay? Now the same goes if I'm making a cut. Hey, boo-boo, catch my pup. So if I'm coming this way, right, I want this orientation to be such, okay? And again, how do we do that? Well, one way is just to be aware of it and control it, but also, if I have this weapon here, I have a lot more manageability, even though I don't have quite the distance and I don't have the range, generally speaking, right? So as you get better and you get more control, you get your range a little bit better. And it's the same sort of thing. You want to use momentum. You want to use your hips to move this, okay? They say Gikinryu was a halberd art at one time. And you see it's just using that big doko type movement, okay? From here, this archer's pose, what we call that, doko, okay, ichi. Using this chain here, what's called the hematic chain under some fighting theories. The idea being that I'm using this alignment, okay, of everything being locked in where it should, no elbows flaring, okay, no slumping of the back or the head, okay, and very important is positioning of your shoulders here, not here, okay. And when I'm doing that now, I'm moving my weight. I'm doing a shuto here, it shouldn't matter, okay? Like I have a big stone back here, okay? Boom, okay? I'm exaggerating this a little bit, but you see, I have something heavy, right? And then I'm just coming and I'm going forwards, okay? Anyway, that's a basic theory for how to use a halberd, okay? Because a halberd has weight where the blade is, okay? So you want that weight to be a force you can control. What I'm doing here is I'm not lifting up with my arms, okay? I'm shooting my weight back, okay, onto this back leg and sliding up so I can strike here. That's to the throat, okay? Here, again, remember that little turn, okay? Boom, weight back, okay? Notice what I'm doing with my legs here, this. I have a bad knee, so it's hard for me to do this, but even I'm doing it, okay? I'm not doing this, okay? I'm not using my arms. I'm using this. And in order to do that, move from the ground up, okay? So for example, when I do this, okay, I'm sinking first, then taking the weight back, okay? I'm not trying to push back, pull back, okay? I'm letting my weight sink down so I can move it into the right position here, okay? That allows you to handle the weight of the weapon. Up, down, strike, here, hit with the stick side, right? Cut, okay? Boom, okay? I pulled it in a little bit that time, so I'd have control of where I oriented this as I made my strike, okay? Coming up the median line, okay? Conception vessel, governor's vessel. Boom, okay? Catching the person upwards. Okay, if you do this right, you can even come under any sort of a throat protector as you move your way forwards, okay? You have your Jumanji positioning, you have your Ichi no Kamae positioning, and you have a more orthodox Ichimonji no Kamae, or Ichi no Kamae, whatever you want to call it. But one being more extended backwards, okay? So you can get a little bit more distance. And the same things apply. You control with your back arm, okay? You want to make circles, so you catch something, boom. And as you catch it and you parry it, you can strike right off the parry. And again, when I'm doing this, I'm not coming down with the stick. I'm letting my weight drop the stick down and then letting my weight bring the stick up. Okay? Watch from the side, okay? So 1, 2, see this? Putting my weight back, forwards, back, strike, here, hoko. You can begin to see why it's so important when you're learning to control from here. Even when you're holding a sword, okay, or a knife. And your hasso is an extension of that as well, okay? You can do hasso this way, doesn't matter. You can do it from front, back, okay? It's oriented this way. But the point is, you have this direct line right to your hip assembly, okay? So you can control the weapon directly simply by moving your hip, okay? Which is ultimately really what you want to do. Your arms are just there to direct the weapon, okay? And to control the weight so that you can direct the weapon, all right? So keep that in mind. Think of it here, here, to here. And then this front hand is just to help you position, okay? This gives you a little bit more mobility as well, okay? You can do things here, this way, like you do with a stick. Boom, can fight in close. Okay, here I'm using the weapon in closer. Okay, always using my weight, okay? Even something here, okay? Real close, okay? Boom, okay? Boom, using a thrust with the shoulder. Boom, okay? Then just a little bit of an extension with the arms. Elbows kept in, okay? Anyway, we went a little over. Let's look at this and see how much fruit it bears, and we'll do a follow-up, okay?